There we go. Looks like my boobs are eyes. Let's start over. The story, for me, it was just the way the story was told. Oh my God, what's wrong with me? Told. Figuring out. I cannot talk today. Hey y'all, welcome to my channel and happy Halloween. I'm so excited. I love Halloween. Today, I wanted to share the Halloween song book tag with y'all. This tag was originally done by Nicole at A Beautiful Chaos of Books, and I just thought it was so much fun, so I had to jump in and do it for myself. I will have her original video linked down below if you want to go check her out. She's super fun. I love watching her. I just love listening to her talk. All right, we're gonna jump right in. Put my tea down. Got my trusty notebook here. Number 1 is the song Thriller, which total classic. I love Michael Jackson. And it is a book that was an absolute page turner. For me, that is A Woman in the Window by A.J. Finn. I absolutely love this book. I read it way before I discovered Booktube. So I don't know, or I didn't know, the controversy around this book or the author, but I enjoyed the book fully. I thought it was just phenomenally written. I love the character. I listened to this book on audio, which I do a lot of my books, but I couldn't stop listening. It was absolutely entertaining. So we follow Anna. She has agoraphobia, which is a fear of leaving your house, basically. So she spends her days drinking, watching classic movies, and looking out her window. And one day, she sees something, or she thinks she sees something bad happen. It was an absolute joy for me. I loved every minute of it. It was an absolute page turner for me. Regardless of the controversy around this book, I still like the story. Our next Halloween song is Somebody's Watching You, a book that gave you the serious creeps. I'm going with Bird Box for this one because it truly gave me the creeps. You don't know what's out there. You don't know whatever these people are seeing and making them go crazy and either kill themselves or others. You don't know what it is, and that creeps me. It creeps me the hell out. And also, when you watch the movie, the Netflix movie, I know some people say they didn't like it, but I actually really loved it. I love the book as well as the movie. They are different in some ways, but I still enjoyed both of them the same. But in the movie, there is this one part. I mean, I was like on the edge of my seat because you have your main character, Mallory. She's blindfolded. She has her 2 children blindfolded, and she's in this river. She sets off on this river journey to go to maybe possibly a better place. And she's secluded to this home. Of course, all the windows are blocked or whatever, so they don't see anything. And they can uncover their eyes in the home. But once they go outside, they are completely blind. So, like I was saying, I'm kind of getting off my path here. But there's a moment in the movie where they get out of the boat. They, I guess, come to a bank and get out of the boat for whatever reason. I'm not sure. She tells the kids, you have to stay in the boat. For no reason do you come after me. No reason at all. Stay in the boat. Stay hidden underneath the blanket. Don't uncover your eyes. Do not come after me. And apparently she knows this place because she's got like strings that she could tell, like she can run her hand across and get her to wherever she needs to go. And while she's out and about in this area, the creature or whatever is out there like watching her. The wind is blowing, there's signs that this creature is around, and I was creeped out, like so creeped out. And if you come across like these people that have not killed themselves yet, but they're like on the verge of crazy and maybe out to kill someone else, they could be lurking about as well. There was another part, and I think it was in the book too, where they stumble upon another human being and he's trying to get them to uncover their eyes. And that, you know, not being able to see and hearing that, I don't know what I'd do. I'd freak out completely. So there you go, Bird Box. Number 3, our song is Vampire. A book you hated so much it was soul sucking. This is so hard to say because I love Charlaine Harris, but An Easy Death by Charlaine Harris. I'll put a picture of it somewhere around here. I listened to it on audio. It took everything I had to get through this book, even by listening to it. I didn't DNF it only because I was hoping something would make me love it. There's nothing that she has put out that I can say that I didn't like, except this series. And it's a brand new series. It's the Gunny Rose series or something. Our main character is Gunny Rose. And she starts some sort of badass chick. Honestly, I have no idea what this whole book is about. I know it has like some supernatural things in it. There's vampires, witches. So that I know that was there, but the whole point of the book, the plot of the book, I couldn't tell you. So that's all I have to say about that. Number 4 is I Put a Spell on You. Who doesn't love that song? That's my favorite part in Hocus Pocus, when Bette Midler is up there singing I Put a Spell on You. That I love Bette Midler, and she just made that moment in that movie. It was just, that's my favorite part. So anyway, it's a book featuring witchcraft or magic. For this, I had a tough time because I don't read a lot of witchcraft or magic books. I was going to say Harry Potter, but I mean, I don't want to be cliche about it. You know, I was trying so hard to think of something else besides Harry Potter, but Harry Potter would be one of them. But I chose Carry On by Rainbow Rowell. I chose this because it was so much fun to read, and I was really like surprised that I loved it so much. You have your 2 main characters, Simon Snow and Baz. They are like enemies in the wizarding world. This is almost like a humorous version, also possibly a gay version of Harry Potter. A Harry Potter where maybe Harry and Draco get together. It's kind of, I mean, who wouldn't want that? But I just thought it was so much fun, and there is, you know, there's so much in here that reminded me of Harry Potter, but it was so different, and like the spells are just hilarious because they're just like, let me see if I can find one. So like for instance, okay, like if you wanted to try to find something, the spell was Ollie Ollie Oxen Free, or you could use come out wherever you are. There was no Accio Fork or Expecto Patronum. There was no like crazy wizarding witchy words. It was just like, come out. It was actually really funny. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the story of Simon and Baz, them two, you know, well, Baz knows he's gay. Simon not so much, so he's kind of coming into himself. I have yet to read Wayward Son. I have it, but I have yet to read it. I hear that it's not as good as Carry On, so that hurts my heart because I loved this so much. It was just so much fun to read. If you haven't read it yet, give it a go. If you're a Harry Potter fan, I think you will enjoy this. Number 5 is the song is This Is Halloween. Love Nightmare Before Christmas. Love it. Your favorite treat or snack to eat while reading? I actually don't eat while I read. Sometimes I eat my lunch and read. But as far as like a favorite snack and reading, I don't particularly do that because most of the time I'm reading at night in my bed before I go to sleep. But my favorite snack, as far as like maybe like Halloween, is I have a big bowl of them over there. Kit Kats, Pumpkin Reese's, and Twix. Oh, and my most recent are Tootsie Roll Pops. But as far as like having, especially, I don't usually eat that, or I try not to eat that during the majority of the year. I usually like treat myself to a couple of them during the Halloween season, because I'll always buy a bag just in case we have trick-or-treaters. We never have trick-or-treaters, but just in case, I always am prepared, because there was this one time when I wasn't, and I was so embarrassed. The child was crying. It was horrible. Horrible. So ever since then, I make sure I have candy or something. And to this day, since that time, no one has come back to my house. Pretty sad about it. Number 6, Time Warp. What book or books do you like to return to at this time of year? I'm not a big rereader, so I don't usually return to books. I don't usually like go back, like say like, you know, like Bird Box really creeped me out. So I wouldn't, even though it's a spooky time of year, I'm not going to pick it back up because I've already read it. I've seen the Netflix show. I'm just not a huge rereader. It takes a lot for me to reread. I will say there are some books that I have reread or re-listened to, I should say, many times, because they're just my absolute favorite. Harry Potter series, I mean, come on. And the Twilight series, again. And the Charlie Davidson series. That series, that is such a good series. Who is it by? Shoot, I should know this. Dorinda Jones. Dorinda Jones wrote the Charlie Davidson series, and it's so good. There's like 14, 15 books out there. Charlie is the Grim Reaper, and she's hilarious. She also does private detective work on the side. It's supernatural. It's phenomenal. It's romance. She's like in love with the devil's son. It's fantastic. The first book is First Grave on the Right. I'll put a picture of it here. Check it out. It's not my answer for this question, but it's a good series, and I've re-listened to it many times, and I highly recommend the audio version. So, but anyway, that's not my answer. My answer for that is, during this time of year, even though I read a lot of mysteries and thrillers, and I'm just now sort of tiptoeing into horror, I try to like amp it up at this time of year because it's spooky season. So I always break out my Friday the 13th, my Halloweens, and I'm mostly watching that. I love the Scream series. That's like my favorite 90s slasher series, movie series, but I love it. But as far as reading, I try to, you know, bring in more spooky reads, or try to like I said, amp it up a little bit. Maybe they go above and beyond, and like read a horror that I wouldn't normally read, or something like that. So yeah, that's my answer. Number 7, Hungry Like the Wolf. A book you love so much you devoured. For this, I'm going to go with Silent Child. I'll put a picture of it here. I listened to this on audio. Go figure. I highly recommend the audio. It was so good. I don't remember the characters. It's been a long time since I've listened to this. Way before Booktube, or way before I knew Booktube existed. But it's about a woman that loses her child, and 10 years, I think it's 10 years later, someone finds him just walking down the road. So, you know, she brings him back into their home, but he does not speak at all. It's almost like he's so traumatized he doesn't want to speak about it. She's like with with she has a fiance and a new baby with him, I believe. I don't think they're married yet. I'm not sure. I don't really remember. Things start to go, you know, bad with her marriage because she's trying to help her son that has been missing for all these years. It gets, I remember it gets really crazy at the end, and the twists of like what happened to him. You find all that out, and it was just a wild ride, and I devoured it. I loved it so much. I did a Goodreads review on it, and I had went back and read it just to kind of freshen my memory, and like the first word of my review is wow. So I highly recommend it. It's such a good thriller. It's definitely a good psychological type thriller. I really enjoyed it. Number 8, The Addams Family. A book featuring a dysfunctional family. I have 2 for this one. A most recent read for me, you will see this in my October wrap-up, but Sometimes I Lie by Alice Feeney. This was really good. It was just very interesting, this dysfunctional family that we have in this book. But the main focus on the book is our character Amber, who is in a very serious accident, and she she's in a coma in the hospital. But she sort of wakes up. She's aware of everything around her. She can hear everyone, but she can't open her eyes. She can't move, but she can definitely hear what's going on. And she gets visited by her husband and her sister. The story goes like back to a week before the accident happens, and then it also goes back to one of the characters writing in their diary, and it all leads to this accident. The second book I chose for this is Baby Teeth by Zoja Stage. Not sure if I'm saying that correctly, but this was such a crazy book. I don't dislike children. I'm not going to say hate, because hate is an ugly word. But this child, I did not like her at all. Somebody needed to do something about this child. She was so hateful to her mother, trying to kill her. It was such a dysfunctional family. And, you know, it was one of those things where the dad wasn't, he was always at work, so he didn't see what she was doing, but yet she was such an angel around him, and she was totally a different person in front of her mom. I wanted to really hurt this child. Very dysfunctional family in that book. Number 9, Scary Monsters and Super Creeps. A book genre that you are scared or intimidated to pick up. This is kind of hard because I'm really open to anything. I will say, like I said, I'm tiptoeing into horror because it does intimidate me, but I'm very much interested in it. But I will say I'm not a huge fan of nonfiction. I'm not a huge fan of historical fiction. I've read some nonfiction, and nothing's ever done anything for me. I have some nonfiction books that I will be reading, so it's not like I'm not going to pick those up. As far as historical fiction, I have never read historical fiction. It doesn't scare me. It doesn't intimidate me. I just don't think I'm going to like it because I'm not a history buff. I don't really want to read about war. I'm just not really interested in it. I have read historical romance, a male historical romance, and I enjoyed that. So I guess I'm never going to say I'm never going to pick something up because I'm open to anything. But those are some of the things that I'm not into, I guess. But if you talk me into it, I might give it a go. And number 10, the last one, The Twilight Zone. A book with a completely different and unique premise. I have, again, 2 books for this. The first one is Dark Matter by Blake Crouch. I was completely blown away by this. Sci-fi is another genre that I'm not too crazy about and I don't pick up a lot. But since I heard so many good things about this book, I wanted to try it out for myself. And I loved it. To me, it was so unique. Just the idea of the story is crazy to me. But it also makes me think, like, okay, I'm here, sitting here, filming this video, but in another life, at this very same moment, I could be doing something else. I could be me, but I could be a totally different me. And that's kind of what this book is like. So we have our main character, Jason, and he is a brilliant scientist, but he chose a different path to go down in his life. And he's always, you know, wondered what that path, if he'd have chose a different path, where his life would be. Well, that other Jason decides he wants to know the same thing. And I'm just going to leave it at that. It was so crazy and just all over the place, and I loved it. And the second book for that is Sweet Pea by C.J. Scoose. I'll put a picture of it somewhere around here. But I love this book. So in this book, we follow Rihanna, who is a serial killer. And I've never read a book that you follow the actual serial killer. To me, she kind of reminded me of a Dexter, but yet she wanted to kill everybody. Everybody from the person at the grocery store who was packing her groceries wrong to the person that pulled out in front of her. At the beginning of every chapter, there was a kill list. It was hilarious. It was nothing I've ever read before. And the story wasn't unique. For me, it was just the way the story was told from the serial killer's point of view. I've never read anything like that, and I just thought it was so much fun. And Rihanna was such a funny character. I loved it. All right, that's it, y'all. Probably made this out to be longer than I should have, but you know, that's typical me. That's all the questions for this tag. That was so much fun. I really enjoy doing these book tags, so you will see more coming to my channel. They're just so fun. But again, happy Halloween, y'all. I'll list all the books that I mentioned down below, as well as all the questions. If you want to do the tag, I tag you, go ahead and do it. Y'all have a happy Halloween, a spooky Halloween. Stay safe, and I will see y'all in my next video. Bye, y'all.